días. No, todavía no. Hola. Muy buenos días a todos y a todas y bienvenidos y bienvenidas a esta sesión plenaria de la segunda jornada del Encuentro de Ciudadanía Digital Comprometida, haciendo extensiva la bienvenida a aquellas personas que nos están siguiendo por streaming. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the plenary session of the second day of the Summit of Engaged Digital Citizenship, also to those attending the event online. Durante la jornada de ayer tuvimos la oportunidad de escuchar a diferentes personas expertas y a compartir conocimientos sobre los dos primeros ejes temáticos sobre los que versa el encuentro: el fomento de la sociedad digital y la potenciación de la innovación social digital. Pudimos compartir aprendizajes y reflexiones sobre el futuro de la sociedad digital, así como conocer algunas buenas prácticas y aplicaciones tecnológicas concretas en los diferentes espacios del Digital Village, en el que hoy continuarán las exposiciones y demos, además de ser un excelente espacio para el networking. En el día de hoy compartiremos conocimientos sobre los dos segundos ejes sobre los que se estructura el encuentro: alfabetización mediática, datos e inteligencia artificial, y derechos digitales europeos, seguridad en línea y bienestar. La dinámica, tanto de esta primera sesión plenaria como del resto de la jornada, será similar a la de ayer. Empezaremos con una bienvenida institucional, a la que seguirán una ponencia y una mesa redonda por cada uno de los dos ejes temáticos pendientes. Antes de dar paso a las bienvenidas institucionales, hacer dos recordatorios importantes. En primer lugar, animaros a compartir vuestras reflexiones, comentarios, cuestiones, opiniones, valoraciones en redes sociales. Tenéis todas las referencias en los distintos programas y proyectadas aquí. Y por favor también recordaros a todos y a todas quienes estáis utilizando los cascos para la traducción simultánea que al salir de las actividades o de los espacios donde los estéis utilizando los devolváis en el mismo lugar en el que los habéis recogido. Hechos estos dos recordatorios, voy a dar paso sin más a la primera de las intervenciones de bienvenida institucional, que en este caso correrá a cargo de Antonio Llorente Simón, presidente de la plataforma de la Red Conecta. Antonio, por favor.
Good morning. Bueno, parece que el ecosistema de las voces, ayer creo que tuvisteis bastante networking por la noche, ¿verdad? Se llama discotecas. Pero bueno, bienvenida. Esta bienvenida institucional, desde la plataforma Red Conecta, es una plataforma que está compuesta por 42 entidades sociales y lo bueno que tiene es la capilaridad en el territorio, en pequeños sitios o en grandes sitios, pero fundamentalmente lo que hace es cohesión territorial. Sin esto, de verdad, no entenderíamos que el desarrollo comunitario, el desarrollo de la comunidad, es lo primario antes que la individualización. Aunque nosotros es verdad que todo el mundo estamos poniendo el centro, la persona en el centro, pero ¿de verdad ponemos la persona en el centro como sujeto activo, como sujeto pasivo, como ciudadano, como ciudadana? ¿Dejamos que ejerzan sus derechos, sobre todo el derecho digital? Pues mirar, creo que en este día, que es el día de la erradicación de la pobreza, creo que tenemos que hacer una gran reflexión. No puede ser que en España más de 12 millones de personas estén en riesgo de pobreza. Y apelo, que también es muy demagógico, a la pobreza infantil. Todavía no hemos visto, de verdad, todavía no hemos visto a ningún niño pobre en una familia rica. Por lo tanto, no es un tema solo de los derechos y no es un tema de servicios sociales, es un tema de economía. Y ahí está, yo creo que donde tenemos que reflexionar, que la erradicación de la pobreza no es tema de los gobiernos, es tema también de los vecinos, de las vecinas. Es tema de a quién votamos y qué políticas propulsamos. Pues aquí con la plataforma de la Red Conecta, que es la ciudadanía comprometida, que son dos palabras, madre mía, ¿no? Qué responsabilidad con esas dos palabras. Intentamos reducir la brecha digital, pero sobre todo el cómo. Primero, con la participación activa de las personas que participamos o que, sobre todo, que acompañamos socialmente. El trabajo en red, sin eso no tendría sentido la Red Conecta. y fundamentalmente también la incidencia política. Esa incidencia política que parece que cuando hablamos de las empresas huele a azufre, pues no, son necesarias. Necesarias y además podemos hacer muchísimo más fuerza y muchísima más implicación de la ciudadanía si las empresas y sobre todo las personas que nos administran, que son los gobiernos, realmente entre los tres, que parece muy demagógico, pero cada vez estamos más cerca y si no, lo veréis hoy con las intervenciones de personas con gran responsabilidad pública y política y sobre todo de empresas también, ¿no? Y ya quería hacer esta bienvenida institucional más bonita, ¿no? Os voy a leer, que no lo he escrito yo, pero me encontré ayer, vosotros estabais haciendo networking allí, pues yo estaba en otra cosa. Y mirad qué bonito. Me dio un abrazo corto, pero intenso, de esa clase de abrazo que siente hasta en las uñas de los pies. Un salto mortal hacia la vida, una caricia incandescente de esas que no duran, pero que queman. Algo repentino y fugaz. Un abrazo que podría darse sin brazos, porque pertenece a la categoría del conjuro y no a la escala de los achuchones. Recibir un abrazo así, de cuando en cuando, es una prueba irrefutable de que la vida a veces te regala argumentos contra la soledad. Muy buenos días.
Wow, muchas gracias, Antonio. A ver quién supera eso. A continuación, damos paso a Francis Valverde Mosquera, presidenta de la Liga Iberoamericana de Organizaciones de la Sociedad Civil. Francis, cuando quieras.
Oh, no se ve nada. Muy buenos días a todos y todas. No le voy a competir a Antonio en poesía bajo ninguna circunstancia. Saludar a All Digital, a la Red Conecta, a Fundación Splay, como organizadores de este enorme evento y relevante, ¿no?, para el desarrollo de las juventudes, de todos los ciudadanos y ciudadanas de nuestros países. La Liga Iberoamericana de Organizaciones de la Sociedad Civil es una red conformada por 25 instituciones de 18 países, en la cual nuestro principal desafío es cómo generamos conocimiento, capacidades y competencias, especialmente en la juventud, niñez y adolescencia, en la perspectiva de profundizaciones democráticas en nuestros países. Estamos frente a un desafío relevante que tiene que ver con cómo somos capaces, ¿no es cierto?, de ir generando una comprensión de lo que es la ciudadanía. Ayer hablábamos, ¿no es cierto?, durante todo el día de la ciudadanía digital. ¿De qué estamos hablando cuando hablamos de ciudadanía digital? ¿Qué implica en la práctica cotidiana de los sujetos y sujetas la ciudadanía digital? Y nosotros estamos en la otra ciudadanía también, ¿no?, en la ciudadanía cotidiana de ser parte de una sociedad democrática, de luchar por esa sociedad democrática, de conocer cuáles son los elementos fundantes en términos de derechos humanos, de valores, de desafíos que enfrentamos para que nuestros países tengan las posibilidades de tener plataformas sociales universales, garantía de derechos, etc. América Latina en especial, Europa menos, ¿no es cierto?, está pasando por periodos difíciles en términos de la densidad democrática y ese es uno de los temas que nos mueve. Y hoy día que se celebra el Día Internacional de la Pobreza, ¿no es cierto?, con mayor fuerza. Las infancias y juventudes son las más pobres en nuestros países, no solamente en América Latina, sino que también pareciera ser que por estos lados, ¿no? Y ese es un desafío importante porque son las personas que están ahora generando las condiciones de cambio. Ese es nuestro gran desafío, agradecer mucho la posibilidad de estar acá, reconocer que cuando estamos hablando de digitalización, de tecnología, de virtualidad, ¿no es cierto?, estamos hablando también de cambios muy permanentes, muy vertiginosos y que muchas veces no alcanzamos a darnos cuenta de que ya estamos en otra fase. Ese es el gran desafío que tenemos de cómo estamos a la altura de esos cambios, pero también cómo no olvidamos las bases que nos permiten ser todavía sujetos, mantenernos en la lógica de la humanidad y recordar todo el tiempo de que no estamos solos, de que los colectivos son fundamentales y que volver a tejer comunidad es un dato fundamental para el desarrollo. Muchas gracias.
Gracias. Muchas gracias, Francis. A continuación intervendrá Mariana Marcucci, presidenta adjunta de All Digital. Next speaker will be Mariana Marcucci, Deputy President of All Digital.
Hello, good morning and welcome to this third day of the summit. I knew that in Madrid will be raining this week, so I just, brought some sun from Italy. I'm here to welcome you to this third day, and as the President Alteo yesterday did with the summit, you already know the event that All Digital is organizing, like the summit, and you have experienced the award yesterday night as our flagship event. I wanted you to introduce very briefly. I will talk only for 2 hours almost today, so just take your seat. Now, I want you to introduce you to our flagship event, the All Digital Weeks. Why? Because everybody is talking about participation those days, okay? So not just audiences. We are not talking to people. We want people and citizens to participate to our activities, okay? So All Digital every year is organizing the weeks. The weeks are an event where the network of All Digital is organizing events, is organizing digital inclusion events. And since the beginning in 2010, we have engaged more than 1.5 million participants, so not just audiences, as I said. It's an empowerment event, it's a digital inclusion event, it's a digital skills empowerment event. So we are very proud, as you know, it's our baby, so we are very, very proud of it. Why we need the All Digital Weeks? Why we need digital skills? Because even if, it's hard to think that in 2024, but it's still like that. We still have a huge lack of basic digital skills in people, not just the, seniors like me, but also in young people. Because even if young people are native and they obviously know like to scroll and whatever, blah, 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 the iPads at 2 years old, they lack basic safety skills, okay? They know how to use the tools, but they don't know how to be safe. They're using those tools and on the internet. And we have core teams, obviously, on the Digital Week. Equity, diversity, inclusions. I just, I don't want to bore you today with all the details of the weeks because we are obviously have more, a lot more today interesting speeches, but like obviously equity, environment, sustainability, education, training. So all the core themes that, we care a lot about. And we have had 70,000, this is like, a proud baby, so 20 plus countries covered, 725 events, so you can tell, we are very proud. It's co-funded by the European Union, so we obviously thank them and Microsoft for supporting every year since the beginning our event. And we have like a very nice thing that we are obviously very proud of. We have national coordinators. So we want to engage people, but we want also to engage other members. So the members of All Digital, all the organizations that participate every year, and every country has a national coordinator who is in charge of organizing and be a hub for all the national participants in every country. And we have also our lovely partners and strategic partners that participate every year and support our event every year. And we thank them, obviously, hugely thank all of them that like Europeana, Media Learning, whatever. You can find all the information about the weeks on our website, alldigitalweeks.eu. The institutional part, I have to tell you the website. So, sorry. No, I spoiled you. Sorry, Murat. Sorry, I'm stealing your job. Sorry. And now, with your very great surprise, I can introduce our next speaker. So just wanted to, briefly introduce you our event and tell you that you can participate also to the All Digital Weeks. We are in the process of organizing the 2025 All Digital Weeks event. So if you want to join, and I know you want, all of you, please just keep in touch with us. And so briefly, I want to welcome you to our third day of the All Digital Forum in collaboration with Fundación Esplai, obviously. And thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Mariana. What an energy you have. Ok, bueno, perdón, que me lío con los idiomas. A continuación, el último invitado para la bienvenida institucional será Ahmed Murad, responsable de la Unidad de Transformación Digital del área de educación de la Dirección de Democracia del Consejo de Europa. Además de la bienvenida institucional, Ahmed hará una primera ponencia para abrirnos el apetito de la jornada de hoy. The next speaker will be Ahmed Murad, Head of the Digital Transformation Unit, Education Department, Council of Europe. Apart from the institutional welcome, he will give us a first keynote speech in the morning. Thank you. Please, Ahmed.
Good morning. I mean, I was hoping to call my presentation as a wake-up call, but thanks to Mariana, she was so energetic. She brought the energy, and now we are all awake. This shouldn't be the first slide. Okay, anyway. Okay, first I would like to thank All Digital for inviting me to this important event, and buenos días, Fundación Esplai, muchas gracias for organizing this one. This is my little Spanish introduction. Okay, let me see. We are missing some slides, but let me just start with reminding ourselves, because yesterday it was mentioned about the European Year of Digital Citizenship Education 2025. I mean, we are living in Europe, so I would like to remind ourselves, one of the major European institutions, the Council of Europe that I'm representing today. Okay, let me see the follow of the slides. No, there's missing some slides, but anyway, that's not a big deal. The Council of Europe is the continent's leading human rights organization, and we have a very clear mandate to promote and protect human rights, democracy, and the rule of law in Europe, and obviously protecting the human rights of more than 700 million European citizens. I wanted to underline this, if I could show you the map. It's much broader than the European Union, and you have neighbors. Spain is European Union, but you have neighbors in the east, you have neighbors in the Southeast Europe, and also my home country, Turkey. Why I'm saying this? Because we are celebrating the 75th anniversary of the organization. So this is an opportunity also to celebrate a bit of this existing of this important organization. So moving from that, I would like to give you a little bit of feedback, or not feedback, information about our concept of digital citizenship education. And that's the subject. Digital citizenship is subject of this meeting and one of the priorities of all summit, I understand. And there have been already some keywords spelled out by the previous speakers and in the presentations, like active participation, or empowerment, or digital skills, digital competencies. They are really important. So in 2016, the ministers of education of the Council of Europe member states, they launched a new intergovernmental project on digital citizenship, because the Council of Europe has been working so long to protect the minors, the children, but then we realized that protection is important, but also we need to empower learners from the early ages to cope with the digital evolution, to protect themselves in the digital environment, and to become competent digital citizens to engage with digital technology and actively participate in the digital environment. So it's not going well. And now, last year in September, the ministers gathered again for the 26th session of their standing conference, and then they adopted a resolution, and they resolved that 2025 will be European Year of Digital Citizenship Education. So a little bit about why we are doing this, why we proposed to the ministers and why they accepted it. Okay, now anyway. Because we have been running this project since 2016, but obviously there was a need to give a fresh impetus to the efforts across Europe and to give more visibility to digital citizenship education. So through this year and onwards, we would like to raise awareness of all the concerned target groups and people in general, and of digital citizenship and its importance. Because now we need to, I saw in the previous presentation, only 15% of the workforce in Europe have had an ICT education through their education, and only 26% of people can, check the fact check the news they receive or the information they found on the internet. So that's why, there are some opportunities that digital evolution or digital transformation brings. Like there are now many variety of ways of learning, socializing, and then also participating in the digital environment or participating in the communities using social media and other means. But there are also some threats to human rights and also democracy. So when we say democracy, democracy is the thing that we have a say in the decisions that have an impact on us. Is that the case? When you are, kind of manipulated through the disinformation that you receive on the digital environment or through media channels, are you really making the right decisions? Or about human rights, cyberbullying, for example, is a big violation of your rights, especially the children. And also there are some other threats that we need to confront and we need to tackle them. So for this, we developed this concept. It's been running for more than 7 years now. Now with this European year, we would like to, again, raise the awareness of people. Also, we would like to, maybe I will check one more time and then, no, it's not working. So anyway, as I know it by heart, maybe I will breach my time a little bit because of that, but I ask you to bear with me. There are 5 objectives of the European year. One is raising awareness. The second one is enhancing international collaboration among the member states. And the third one is enhancing or fostering the integration of digital citizenship education in education and training systems across Europe. And the fourth one is to develop, first, we have many resources to disseminate those, but also to develop new resources, to collect new resources that are out there already and developed by many third parties, many trusted sources, bring them together and make them visible on our platform. And the next one is enhancing stakeholder engagement. When I say stakeholders, it includes the 3 main sectors: public, private, and the civil sector. And I see how powerful is the civil sector in digital citizenship now, after seeing the presentations and your work. The numbers speak out, the activities speak out, the digital learning weeks, digital skills weeks are speaking out. So it's all very, very well appreciated. But then we need to give a fresh impetus also to collaborate across Europe. For example, I came to know this big work thanks to the organizers inviting me to this conference. We need to do our best to acknowledge and then to map out all these efforts across Europe. And the last one is to have a common to set common goals by all these parties for the next next phase, like not just individual activities in here and there, but to set some common goals to take DC forward. And for this, anyway, okay, give me a second, it will come back. Okay, so in this, we will have some activities, of course, under awareness raising. We will organize 4 international conferences. Some of them will be in collaboration with the member states hosting the conferences. Some of them will be online, like webinars or international events. And then also we will organize a social media campaign throughout the year. And this can be a kind of small scale or can be scaled up depending on the resources we will have. We will also disseminate and promote our resources. We have a bunch of resources, including lesson plans, a handbook, and leaflets for parents and teachers, even an animation series. We call them DigiNotes. We just completed the impact assessment of DigiNotes, which is very promising, and we are hoping to develop more episodes of this. We have some 6 online courses ready. And then now we are developing a MOOC, Understanding Digital Citizenship Education, because the courses we have are targeting educators. With the MOOC, we will be targeting a wider audience. And also, the most important, I wouldn't call it resource, but this is our like backbone. We have a small network, of course, not as powerful as yours. We call them DC promoters. Those are the people nominated by the ministers of education. And we have 28 member states of the Council of Europe in this network. So they are helping us with developing our intergovernmental programs and the resources, but they also work hard in their respective countries to promote and develop digital citizenship education. So this all being said, I didn't have a chance to talk much about our concept of digital citizenship education. Just maybe before going to this, again, the keyword is empowering them. And another key set of keywords is competencies for democratic cultures. Those of you who are in the education field, you know there are a bunch of competence frameworks, including DigiComp. We also introduced a competence framework we call Reference Framework of Competencies for Democratic Culture. That's a combination of 20 competencies grouped under values, skills, attitudes, knowledge, and critical understanding. So what our kind of proposal is that, yes, you have to have the digital skills. This is a prerequisite already to participate in the digital age or to become a digital citizen, but also you need to have all those competencies that we are promoting. For example, openness or valuing cultural diversity or knowing yourself or knowing the world, others' worldviews, or have empathy, or having respect to others, and so on and so on. There are 20 competencies, and then those are clustered, those are kind of, we would like to put them into work in 10 digital domains. It's not visible now on the screen, but under DC concept, we have 10 digital domains clustered into 3 groups: being online, well-being online, and rights online. So in the being online, for example, access and inclusion. If you want an inclusive online environment, then we need to have people participating, and they need to value diversity. They need to be open to others' cultures, others' worldviews, etc. That's why we want to link through our concept the digital skills with competencies for democratic culture. Finally, some important dates to note down for the next year is that we will be launching the year at the end of January in Strasbourg, and then we will have the biggest event next year in May in Strasbourg. Again, this will be a forum, and we will try to bring together the major 3 sectors: public, private, and civil sector. It will be like a kind of this type of event. And we will have the 3rd conference. I didn't put it here because it's not finally confirmed. The Maltese presidency of the Committee of Ministers wishes to host the 3rd conference in September in Malta. And finally, we will close up the year, but not the project, in Ljubljana, Slovenia at the end of November, and this will be a call for further and increased efforts to make DC a reality across the Council of Europe member states. Thank you for your attention. And you can, I'm a quick learner, so I copied and added from another presentation, put a QR code. It's easier to scan and access the website. This is where you can find further information about our work. And I take this opportunity to invite you, to invite all digital and all your network to actively participate in the Digital Citizenship Education Year. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ahmed. Our apologies for the presentation problems. Vamos a dar paso a continuación a la primera ponencia, que versará sobre el tercero de los 4 ejes sobre los que se estructura el encuentro, en este caso, derechos digitales europeos, seguridad en línea y bienestar, y que corre a cargo de Thibaut Kleiner, director de Estrategia Política y Divulgación de la Dirección General de Redes de Comunicación, Contenidos y Tecnología de la Comisión Europea. Compartirá su visión sobre los derechos digitales y las políticas que guiarán el futuro de una ciudadanía digital inclusiva. Thibaut no podía acudir presencialmente, por lo que su intervención será a través de un vídeo que ha preparado especialmente para este evento, donde abordará la importancia de garantizar el acceso a los servicios digitales para toda la ciudadanía europea y cómo las políticas públicas están evolucionando para proteger nuestros derechos en el entorno digital. Dentro vídeo, por favor.
Dear colleagues, thank you so much for allowing me to address you, even though, of course, I would have preferred to be with you in person in Madrid. The topic we are addressing today is essential. We spend a lot of time online. In fact, the average internet user is reported to spend 6.5 hours on the internet every single day. Can you imagine? That is quite literally a quarter of our lives. We have become accustomed not only to working online, but to doing our shopping, getting entertained, trained, socializing, and even paying our tax on our phone or our laptop. And as we would like to feel safe when withdrawing money, when entering a store or joining a party, it only makes sense that we would expect the same online. But that doesn't happen by default. And in fact, we find that many people still believe that online they are in a different universe, where they can be bullied, when they can be stolen and hurt without being able to do anything. For the European Commission, this is not acceptable. And we have acted in the past years to change this situation, to change this perception, and to develop a vision of the digital transformation that is good for people. We are not there yet. We have seen that tech companies, especially non-European ones, often roll out products before they have been proven to be fully safe for all users. And with technology developing at such a rapid pace, regulations has often to catch up. But we are getting there, because we know what Europeans expect. They have made their voices very clear. They want a human-centered digital transformation. This is a transformation where no one, whether we are talking about children, older people, or people with disabilities, is left behind. An internet where everyone is able to interact, where safe technologies work for the people, and where our rights and values are protected online as they are offline. That's a clear vision. This is where and what we are starting from. And to make it clear to our stakeholders, but also to our international partners, we have put it on paper. This is how the European Declaration on Digital Rights and Principles has been born. It is a reference for all of us, whether in legislation, in our international partnerships, or in project development. This declaration, and I would really hope that you've read it carefully, clearly spells out our commitments in 6 different areas. So it's not just a piece of paper. It is something that really binds us in terms of our commitments. First of all, it is putting people at the center of the digital transformation. That includes commitments to make sure that our technologies respect democratic values and allow us to pursue our aspirations in full security and in respect of fundamental rights. The second is solidarity and inclusion. With this, we want to ensure all benefit from digitization. Whether young, old, digital savvy, or less so, everyone should possess at least basic digital skills. So skills, and I know you are going to discuss this, is essential for our transformation in the digital world. Our Commissioner designate will work specifically to increase the number of IT experts, and especially women, in the whole of Europe. And financially at the EU level, we are using the Recovery and Resilience Facility to help member states to transform the public sector to make it more inclusive. Third in our declaration is freedom of choice. Extremely important, and it covers our engagement to helping people make their own informed choices online, protecting them against possible risks, including from the use of algorithm, artificial intelligence, or dark pattern. You don't want the technology to decide for you. You want to be your own mind. The fourth area in our declaration marks our commitment to promoting an online open environment for healthy, vivid democratic debate. And to make this a reality, our Digital Services Act, for instance, includes provisions to protect our freedom of speech without fear of censorship or intimidation. Moreover, the European Media Freedom Act includes measures to preserve our access to rich, varied, and most important, independent media. But of course, we also want users to feel safe, secure, and empowered online. This is the well-being aspect also of our declaration. And this is precisely what our General Data Protection Regulation is supposed to do. And of course, this is what we do when we speak about cybersecurity, which covers our right to safe digital technologies and by design to be protected in our privacy. Last but not least, our declaration underlines the importance of sustainability. Whether that's about committing to limit the climate footprint of digital technologies, or to promote the use of digital technologies to help fighting climate change. So you see, with these 6 areas in our declaration, we have come to a situation where we try to make digital technologies and engage citizenship in our role as protector, but also as promoter of a digital transformation that is good for people. We are committed to boosting cybersecurity, and we will take initiatives next year, for instance, in favor of hospitals. And with our Cyber Resilience Act that is just entering into force, we have pooled resources to help member states help one another and take coordinated actions in case of larger-scale cyber attacks. So our vision is really for an internet where people feel safer, where well-being is also taken care of, and we can really enjoy the benefits of the digital transformation. We know our citizens expect even more of us. They are concerned about mental health effects of social media. They are concerned about addictive design. They are concerned about disinformation. And especially we want to protect children and other vulnerable groups from, for instance, cyberbullying, but also online abuse, manipulation, and addictive behavior. This is a priority, and this is something that the Commission will really try to deliver in the next month. But we also know that citizens can reap huge benefits from new technologies, and we should not forget about this. AI, for instance, can be extremely useful. We can also use new technologies for socializing, for better access to healthcare, and this can actually help mental health issues very often. But really, the digital technologies are a fantastic help in our day-to-day tasks. And we can do so much more these days thanks to apps, thanks to online services. It is making our life more efficient, more resilient, and is also having a very positive effect for most of us and most of the time. This was very clear during the COVID pandemic period. We sometimes forget, but it was only a few years back that we discovered the importance of all these platforms because we had to stay home, and without them we could not watch movies or access culture or even be in touch with friends and family. So really the internet is a huge opportunity, and I think that should be the starting point in our vision. So we are really looking at facilitating not only positive but also safe digital experiences, making sure that we can protect children from harmful and illegal online content, but also that we can improve the well-being through a safe, age-appropriate digital environment created in a way that respects the children's best interests. And this is why we have launched these initiatives towards a standard age assurance and verification methods. So really, age verification sometimes is essential here. We support rapid assessment of illegal and harmful content, and we assure that the 116111 number offers help to victims of cyberbullying. So remember this number. We are also supporting digital empowerment so that all children, also those in situations of vulnerability, acquire the necessary skills and competencies to make sound choices and express themselves in the online environment safely and responsibly. In the end, we believe that respecting children is important by giving them a say in the digital environment. Very often they surprise us by being much more alert than we would imagine. But we also need to support child-led activities to foster innovative and creative, safe digital experiences. So as you can see, our work is fueled by our digital principles. It is guided by our desire to make digital technologies better and safer. For any policy making to bear fruit, we need the input of citizens. And that's really important not only to develop our policies, but also to implement and enforce them. We need engaged Europeans that tell us about the results of these various initiatives. So that's why today I would like to call for action. Please make your voices heard. Tell us what we are doing well and what we can improve. Signal the issues that are important to you and help us steer policies towards your needs. Now is the perfect time. We are just starting with a new commission, and we want to make sure that not only our declaration, but actually our new policies will fit your expectations. We need you, and we will work with you for a better future of the internet. Thank you.
Iniciamos a continuación la primera mesa redonda que abordará cuestiones fundamentales sobre los derechos digitales y los principios que guían las políticas en este área. Modera la mesa Alejandra Soya. Alejandra es educadora popular, licenciada en Psicología Social y Pedagogía y patrona de Fundación Splay. Presenta una amplia trayectoria de trabajo en materia de infancia y juventud respecto a la creación e implementación de planes educativos y la reducción de desigualdades y pobreza. Trabaja como consultora para instituciones nacionales e internacionales en Europa y en Latinoamérica. Actualmente es presidenta de la Fundación SES en Argentina y directora ejecutiva de la Red de Entidades de la Liga Iberoamericana, que contribuye al desarrollo humano, social y comunitario de la región iberoamericana. Os dejo con la mesa.
Muchas gracias, Virginia. Bueno, vayan pasando adelante. Un gusto. Adelante. Bueno, un placer. Buenos días a todas, a todos. Hermosa mesa e importante mesa. Sobre todo por el tema, todos los 4 ejes han sido fundamentales y muy bien seleccionados. Pero hablando de derechos digitales y ejercicio ciudadano, me parece que nos hace poner casi como, dirían en otras épocas, de pie y con pantalones largos para los varones, ¿no? Yo diría que hay un tema que nos va a abordar, van a abordar los maravillosos ponentes que tenemos aquí, pero que tiene que ver con alguna... Me quedé con un dato que quiero que lo tengamos presente, ¿no? Poner a las personas en el centro, a los niños, niñas, adolescentes en el centro. Y cuando uno habla de derechos y habla de derechos humanos, es para todos. Y los derechos digitales están siendo... hablar de derechos digitales es un paso importantísimo para lograr que todos tengan acceso, que todos puedan saber exactamente cuáles son los cuidados que tienen que tener y demás. Dicha esta pequeña introducción, 6 horas diarias decían por ahí, ¿no? Me parece mucho tiempo, ¿no? De las 12 o 13 que estamos despiertos, ¿no? 6 horas diarias mirando internet, ¿no? Más. Y sí, pero es parte de lo que nos toca y es parte del desafío del cómo nos hacemos ciudadanos comprometidos con estas nuevas tecnologías también. Entonces, paso a presentarlos. Voy a empezar por Isabel. Allí está. Isabel Salazar Páramo es licenciada en Derechos de la Universidad Pontificia Comillas. Es especializada en asesoría jurídica interna de empresas y fundaciones. Cuenta con más de 20 años y tiene un año más, o sea, 20, ¿no? Prácticamente. Desde muy chiquitita ha empezado la experiencia en el ámbito corporativo y comienza su trayectoria profesional en un sector de gran consumo como es la telefonía, ¿no? En el 2011 se incorpora a la Secretaría General del Grupo Telefónica, donde ha desempeñado distintas funciones. Entre otras, ha sido responsable jurídico de Guaira, la aceleradora de startups de Telefónica y también de Fundación Profuturo. Además, es responsable global de integridad. Desde el 2020 es directora de asesoría jurídica y compliance de la Fundación Telefónica, además de vicesecretaria de su patronato. Bienvenida, Isabel. Señor Antonio Llorente Simón, presidente de la plataforma Red Conecta, muy acertado su cierre en la presentación institucional, muy bonita la frase elegida. Es vicepresidente de APN Madrid, y director de la RUECA. Es miembro del patronato de Fundación Splay y ha tenido cargos de representación en diversas ONGs y plataformas de organizaciones del tercer sector a lo largo de los años. Es psicólogo y máster en dirección y gestión de ONGs por ESADE. Su trayectoria está ligada al mundo de lo social desde lo local y con gran compromiso por la construcción de redes. Es gato, además, y no hay tantos que queden ¿no? De generaciones y generaciones de gente nacida en Madrid, ¿no? Bien. Continuamos entonces con Patricia. Patricia Barrio es diplomada en Trabajo Social y licenciada en Antropología Social y Cultural. Actualmente es la directora general de Diversidad Familiar y Servicios Sociales de la Secretaría del Estado de Derechos Sociales del Ministerio de de Derechos Sociales, Consumo y Agenda 2030. Profesionalmente ha desempeñado diferentes puestos relacionados con los servicios sociales y la acción social, tanto en el sector privado como en el sector público. Su último empleo fue el de directora de Bienestar Social del Ayuntamiento de Móstoles, Madrid. No querías que dijera tantas cosas de ti, Patricia, pero ahí estamos. Ignacio Azorín González es director general de la Dirección General de Estrategia Digital de la Comunidad de Madrid, ingeniero aeroespacial, no es ningún chiste, ¿no? Por la Universidad del Rey Juan Carlos, cuenta con una amplia experiencia internacional en el ecosistema tecnológico, habiendo trabajado con universidades multinacionales y startups en Francia, Alemania y Singapur. Como emprendedor en tecnología de punta, conoce de primera mano los desafíos a los que se enfrentan los innovadores en términos de comercialización, financiación y acceso al mercado. Va por ello. Bueno, vamos, son 3 preguntas y una consigna muy clara desde el inicio. No tenemos demasiado tiempo, pero sí es bueno que cada uno de ustedes pueda expresarse. Entonces, en estas 3 preguntas, que aleatoriamente diremos quién empieza a contestarlas, básicamente lo que vamos a hacer es tomarnos no más de 5 minutos por cada una de las preguntas, a ver si podemos por lo menos dejar planteado temas de fondo, ¿sí? Es interesante y lo resalto por esta mesa y por todas, ¿no? Cómo la presencia de los distintos sectores, el sector social, el sector público y el sector privado y el sector académico también, se hacen más que necesarios para afrontar los desafíos que tenemos en estas temáticas, ¿no? Y cómo hacerlo en conjunto, ¿no? Por lo tanto, la primera pregunta, y arrancamos con Isabel, ¿sí? ¿Cuáles crees que son los principales retos para la ciudadanía en relación a los derechos digitales?
Bueno, yo creo que toda la mañana venimos discutiendo sobre lo mismo, hacer una digitalización inclusiva, centrada en las personas, con esa colaboración no pública-privada. Necesario que esos 3 actores nos pongamos de acuerdo, ¿no? Entonces, desde nuestra perspectiva, desde el punto de vista más privado, y aquí hablo en nombre de la empresa y en nombre también de la fundación que hacemos intervención social directa, creo que somos un actor súper relevante y tenemos que impulsar ese compromiso con los derechos digitales desde dentro para que eso se vaya contagiando a los partners y colaboradores con los que trabajamos, ¿no? En el caso de Telefónica contamos con un manifiesto digital donde establecemos los principios básicos de esa realidad y cómo afrontarla, basados fundamentalmente en responsabilidad, en ética, en inclusión, en solidaridad. Y tenemos una máxima y el reto que tenemos, creo que todos los actores involucrados, es que los derechos que existan en ese ámbito digital sean iguales a los que existen en la realidad física, ¿no? La digitalización nos está creando muchísimas oportunidades, pero al mismo tiempo nos plantea también dificultades vinculadas a esos nuevos vulnerables digitales, ¿no? Y en el caso de la Fundación Telefónica, nuestro objetivo es poner esa digitalización que traemos de nuestro fundador de la casa al servicio de esos nuevos vulnerables. Y fundamentalmente necesitamos acompañar desde nuestro ámbito privado. Gracias.
Muchísimas gracias. ¿Quieres continuar, por favor?
¿Tienes?
Bueno, pues algunas reflexiones sobre la cuestión de los derechos digitales. Yo creo que es importante destacar lo que llevamos hablando, que acaba de reforzar Isabel. Los derechos digitales son derechos sociales y deberían estar atravesados por los derechos humanos. Creo que la transformación digital tiene que ser inclusiva y esto tiene muchas connotaciones. Es algo que decimos con cierta facilidad, pero que luego en la práctica es más difícil de implementar. Y creo que a pesar del compromiso público que ha manifestado el representante de la Comisión hace un momento, que podemos representar el Gobierno de España o que seguramente representan instituciones como comunidades autónomas o ayuntamientos, no podemos perder de vista la importancia que lo digital ha tenido en el crecimiento de movimientos iliberales y movimientos antidemocráticos. Es decir, que el principal reto que yo creo que tenemos preservando y defendiendo los derechos digitales es un riesgo para la democracia. Creo que en ese momento estamos. Por supuesto, hay cuestiones que tienen que ver con la seguridad, se ha dicho, que tienen que ver también con ese equilibrio que tenemos que encontrar entre la flexibilidad, la capacidad de innovación, la capacidad de creación que a veces está reñida o poco encajada con la necesidad imperiosa que tenemos en este ámbito de regulación para poder preservar derechos. Los derechos se preservan cuando hay unas condiciones definidas de esos derechos, pueden ser reclamados y tienen que ser preservados y defendidos por parte de las administraciones públicas. Creo que tenemos también un reto de responder a la brecha digital. Y además aquí tenemos que garantizar, por una parte, medidas generales para el conjunto de la población. Todos, todas estamos afectados y tenemos que tener capacidad de defender nuestros derechos digitales. Si estamos 6 horas al día, pues cómo no vamos a poder hacerlo. Pero a la vez tenemos que diseñar y planificar medidas específicas, medidas focalizadas y que además sean implementadas, porque esto decirlo siempre está muy bien. Yo creo que tenemos un gran reto de implementación de políticas que garanticen los derechos digitales. Desde luego, la transición digital debe ser justa y debe ser universal. No valen derechos para élites o derechos para algunas personas sí y otras no. Y desde luego, en esa transformación digital tenemos que defender muchos derechos, muchos de ellos se han dicho ya, el derecho a, como consumidores, el derecho a tener seguridad en el comercio electrónico, a la propia imagen, a la libertad de expresión, a tener información veraz. Pero además hay otros derechos que afectan muy directamente a las personas vulnerables que tienen que ver con el derecho a que la potencialidad de la digitalización llegue a la inclusión social, el derecho a la no discriminación. Creo que el mundo digital es un gran altavoz de muchas impresiones, de muchas opiniones y de muchos hechos, y creo que la discriminación está también atravesando el mundo digital. Tenemos que tener derecho a la no discriminación, a conocer y tener información y formación para poder desarrollar todo nuestro potencial en el mundo digital. Y desde luego a todo lo que tiene que ver con la protección social y la protección laboral, derecho a la desconexión cuando terminamos de trabajar, derecho a la intimidad en nuestro desempeño personal y profesional. Es decir, hay muchos retos, creo que son retos que necesitan una visión muy clara de protección por parte de las administraciones públicas. Y desde luego yo tengo no solo la sensación, creo que la evidencia de que toda regulación va siempre por detrás en el ámbito digital, con lo cual siempre hay un riesgo muy importante de desprotección para las personas.
Wow, gracias Patricia. Ignacio,
Vale.
¿te parece?
Me parece perfecto, Alejandra, muchísimas gracias. Buenos días a todos. Así a mano abierta, a mano alzada antes de empezar. ¿Cuántos tenéis certificado digital? Porque ayer me llevé una leche en la cara. Vale, perfecto. ¿Y cuántos tramitáis online con TSU, con la tarjeta sanitaria virtual, la cuenta digital y demás? Vale, bueno, gracias. Pues al final ayer, mucho mejor foro, gracias por todo. Al final ayer la leche de realidad que me llevaba era eso, que la gente no se siente segura, o sea, que hablábamos de seguridad, ¿no? O sea, lo primero es, para ser ciudadano digital, dame las herramientas, ¿no? Yo creo que en eso mi trabajo es súper divertido porque tengo que hacer que el PIB de la región crezca de la mano de la tecnología, pero al mismo tiempo que vayas tan rápido que te dejes a medio mundo atrás, ¿no? Entonces, para eso es un poco el dar esas herramientas y sobre todo, pues bueno, pues que tengas un certificado digital, que sepas identificar cuáles son los riesgos. Lo básico, basiquísimo, y hay que redoblar esfuerzos ahí, ¿no? Entonces, yo creo que para ceñirme a la parte de tiempo que hablabas, es, oye, yo, que en este caso comunidad autónoma, ¿cómo te voy a enseñar a ti, ciudadano, a que te manejes con soltura, a que sepas qué fuentes de información consultar, a que sepas que, oye, que puedes poner tus datos aquí, que no hay ningún problema, a saber qué tipos de certificados tienes que buscar, ¿no? O sea, que no subas tus datos también a lo loco, ¿no? ¿Cuál es el concepto de huella digital, ¿no? Es decir, cómo voy creando esos perfiles online y cómo cuido de mi seguridad, ¿no? ¿Qué consecuencias tiene que suba las cosas? O sea, tu día a día, al final, tienes que saber qué consecuencias tiene, pero también te tengo que dar las herramientas para que tú, de una manera normal, pues bueno, te puedas desenvolver, ¿no? Y yo creo que ahí están los esfuerzos. Pero gracias, por cierto, por descargaros el certificado digital y por trabajar con los certificados online.
Muchas gracias, Antonio.
Bueno, como tercer sector, el tercero. Solemos estar en tercera, ¿no? Pero más que de hablar del tercer sector, yo creo que de las personas en situación de vulnerabilidad es una situación puntual. Pero no son personas en situación de vulnerabilidad, son personas en situación vulnerada. Vulnerada a sus derechos. Primero, no puedes ejercer tus derechos, primero si no los conoces y no tienes accesibilidad. Ayer hablaba también un concejal del Ayuntamiento de Madrid sobre la usabilidad. Efectivamente, si no ponemos la persona que tiene que usar en la experiencia del cliente, que es lo primero que hacen las empresas, cómo realmente no estamos haciendo eso. Y la experiencia del cliente lo tiene el cliente, la persona que lo va a utilizar. Por lo tanto, creo que eso de saber nosotros lo que tú te pasa, eso suele pasar en medicina o en psicología. Yo sé lo que a ti te pasa. Qué bien. Ayer también la magia de la noche, ¿verdad? Sabía el mentalista adivinarlos, ¿no? Eso es una de las cosas. Yo creo que cuando hablamos de poner a la persona en el centro, preguntemos a la persona qué le pase. No intuyas, no seas pigmalión, porque al final la autoprofecía, ¿no? Se cumplirá. Tú no sabes, porque yo lo digo que tú no sabes y no quiero que sepas. Eso es uno. La usabilidad, por una parte. Yo creo que el acceso hacia los derechos es poder ejercerlos cuando a ti te dé la gana, no por obligación. No quiero, y además que aquí se repite muchas veces, fijaros, en la plataforma Reconecta, el derecho a la no alfabetización, a la no digitalización, a la analogía directamente. Y esto empalmo con una historia directa. Parece que los algoritmos es algo de la inteligencia artificial y algo que hacen los hombres blancos, no la mujer negra, sino los hombres blancos. ¿Te crees que en la selección de personas, cuando a ti te han elegido para un puesto de trabajo, no hay un algoritmo? ¿No hay una persona que dice sí o no en función de culturas y cosas que ni se da cuenta? Freud sí, pero no se da cuenta de que tú sí y tú no. Por eso, normalmente, en todas las historias de toma de la gobernanza, es curiosísimo, porque es solo hombres blancos. Y yo creo que ahí sí que es un tema de entender que la igualdad no es un tema de ser todos de una forma justa, sino tener la oportunidad de saber dónde quiero estar. Y para eso, en el tema digital, que nosotros lo tenemos clarísimo, en el tema de alfabetización, que creo que eso ya es el nivel mínimo que tiene que haber, creo que hay un upgrade. Estamos poniendo puertas al campo en lo digital y el gran miedo que tenemos a vamos a regular, porque es verdad que Europa regula absolutamente todo, incluso Patricia decía que vamos detrás de las regulaciones, creo que regulamos demasiado realmente antes de pensar que el límite lo tiene que poner la propia persona. Y ese empoderamiento de la persona tiene que ser con un acompañamiento. Y ahí creo que mal lo estamos haciendo cuando creemos que la alfabetización es ya está. Os digo simplemente una cosa, ¿por qué tenemos tanto miedo a que la persona joven, como que la adulta no utilizamos los móviles ni estamos horas? A mí me asusta cuando este teléfono me dice el informe semanal. Dios mío, digo, pero si es que es imposible. Pues es posible, porque te lo está diciendo el uso, como bien decía Ignacio, del diario, ¿no? Fijaros, tenemos ese miedo porque no saben utilizarlo. La comida está ahí. ¿No saben parar de comer? Los jóvenes, los adultos, los niños o las niñas, pues igual, el uso crítico, ahí está. No dejemos, de verdad, no dejemos a otros alter egos, a otras personas que decidan sobre la educación nuclear en España, familiar en España, la nuclear, pero ¿por qué? Entonces pensemos, ¿es más eso o falta conciliación? ¿Es más eso o falta una corresponsabilidad de la educación? Es verdad que después habrá trastorno alimenticio, la bulimia, la anorexia hay, pero ¿por qué tenemos tanto miedo a que la persona utilice? Veramente utilice. Y a mí eso ya de los límites, ¿no?, de la utilización. Por lo tanto, creo que dentro de la plataforma de Resconecte, dentro del tercer sector, lo bueno que tenemos es defensa de los derechos, como bien decía Patricia, de los derechos digitales como un derecho humano. Y ahí lo dejo. Gracias.
Antonio, complementando y para continuar con la segunda pregunta para todos, ¿cuál sería claramente el aporte que crees que el sector puede, digo, hablaron todos ustedes de retos, ¿no? Un aporte concreto que el sector social puede hacer a favor de los retos, digamos, ¿no?
Clarísimamente, nosotros hemos nacido de la sociedad civil organizada, trabajo en red. Sin eso, el upgrade, ¿cómo escalas realmente? El yo mismo no puede ser. Si mutualizamos realmente las entidades, si tenemos el sentido de la corresponsabilidad y no simplemente desde donde yo lo hago, sino para quién lo tengo que hacer, clarísimo está. Trabajo en red y, sobre todo, dejar participar a la gente. No hablemos por la gente, empoderémoslo y pongamos el centro verdaderamente como persona ciudadana activa de sus propios derechos. Yo creo que es lo principal que podemos hacer desde... Otra cosa, es verdad que siempre estamos pidiendo a la financiación a papá Estado o mamá Estado, ¿no? Pero realmente hay otras formas. Con la empresa podemos ir de la mano a hacer muchísimas cosas. La empresa sola no puede, porque los clientes somos nosotros. Imaginaros si no hay clientes para la empresa. ¿Qué haría? Y perdona que tú eres fundación, pero sí que te tomo como el sector empresarial, ¿no? Ahí está, el poderlo hacer. Y la administración tiene que apoyar eso. No son los que nos dirigen, perdonar. Es quien nos administran los recursos que nosotros les damos. Por lo tanto, vayamos los tres a la vez, ¿no? Uno tras otro.
Bien, Antonio. Ignacio.
Yo voy a elaborar sobre una cosa que ha comentado antes, que me parece muy divertida dentro también del trabajo que desempeñamos, que es toda la relación con la administración, ¿no? Siento, perdón, que voy ahí acercándome y alejándome el micro, así que sonaré como un poco Ferrari. Aquí todo lo que es el rediseño del servicio centrado en el ciudadano que estaba comentando es súper importante y la verdad que nos está ayudando a rediseñar. Pues nosotros de forma muy concreta tenemos 1.706 trámites activos ahora de procedimientos que puedes hacer en la administración en la Comunidad de Madrid. Y ese rediseño y esa simplificación está siendo un viaje divertidísimo porque estamos haciendo, claro, porque al principio estaba diseñado, pues bueno, pues oye, al final haces un diseño jurídico de un procedimiento y ahora cuando estás haciendo entrevistas ciudadanas para ver realmente cómo interactúas con ese trámite, pues te estás dando cuenta que lo que tenías planteado no tiene sentido, ¿no? Entonces, ese rediseño está siendo muy divertido y muy efectivo. Y luego todo lo que es la adaptación del propio lenguaje, ¿no? Que muchas veces el lenguaje que utilizamos es bastante exclusivo, por así decirlo, y no lo entiende nadie, ni yo mismo, vamos. Y entonces esa adaptación yo creo que también está siendo muy, muy potente. Luego lo del trabajo en red que comentaba, totalmente de acuerdo. Al final nosotros lo que estamos haciendo es apoyarnos, bueno, primero crear redes también dentro de la propia comunidad para que todos los municipios de la región, que en este caso son 179 y sobre todo con énfasis en los 143 que son de menos de 20.000 habitantes, pues tengan ese mismo acceso, digamos, ¿no? Tanto a formación, a conectividad y a que puedan gozar de la digitalización, ¿no? Pero siempre obviamente conscientes de que pueden hacer lo que les salga de las narices, por supuesto.
Patricia, ¿tú qué opinas en relación a cuál es el reto, así como importante, ¿no? ¿Cuál es el aporte, digamos, frente a los retos que puede hacer desde la administración pública?
Yo estoy de acuerdo en que como todos los retos complejos, tiene que haber un espacio de colaboración y una aportación que algunos de los agentes hacen que otros no pueden sustituir. Yo creo que somos todos imprescindibles y que es necesario, es imprescindible, yo creo que es un prerequisito esta colaboración para afrontar los grandes retos de nuestra sociedad. ¿Qué pueden hacer desde mi punto de vista las administraciones públicas? Crear un contexto adecuado para que esto pueda darse. Garantizar derechos, los derechos se garantizan desde el punto de vista público. En esta creación de contexto, esas condiciones previas para que esto pueda darse con esa seguridad de manera inclusiva, de manera universal que hemos hablado antes, ese entorno, crear ese entorno, ese ecosistema, fomentar que exista, que se den muchas cosas que tienen que darse para poder llegar a ejercer y a ejercitar esos derechos y a defenderlos de una manera adecuada. También en este contexto entra la regulación. Yo creo que, independientemente de que la voluntad de la regulación es que precisamente es dar esa seguridad a los usuarios de los derechos para que puedan ejercerlos libremente, para que puedan ejercer esa posibilidad de definir lo que quieren hacer y cómo lo quieren hacer. Pero para eso tiene que haber una regulación que dé seguridad a las personas. Y yo aquí creo que esta regulación tiene que estar siempre velando por la garantía de los derechos de las personas, también en este ámbito digital. Y luego la Administración Pública también puede hacer un papel de promoción, como comentaba antes Antonio. Esta promoción se puede hacer desde muy diversos ámbitos. Se puede hacer a través de la financiación, a través del apoyo de proyectos, a través de no solo proyectos digitales, ¿no?, de acompañamiento digital, como se comentaba, sino de fomento de la investigación, de fomento de la innovación. Es decir, todos estos aspectos que se pueden hacer, no solo, pero también desde la Administración Pública, creo que también es importante. Gestionar el conocimiento. Creo que eso también es un derecho que la ciudadanía tiene, a que las administraciones públicas estén bien informadas para que tomen las mejores decisiones vinculadas a estos ámbitos. Creo que el papel es importante. En muchos casos también esa puesta en común y ese trabajo colectivo, la Administración Pública está en mejor disposición de liderarlo y de promover que existan estos espacios de colaboración y de red. Yo creo que hay un papel muy importante en la definición de las políticas públicas, en la evaluación y supervisión de cómo se están dando las cosas, en la toma de decisiones que vayan en la línea de garantizar derechos. O sea que yo creo que exactamente igual que no puede haber un entorno digital seguro, inclusivo, sin que estén todos los agentes, creo que la Administración Pública es uno de los agentes más importantes porque, insisto, yo creo que los derechos se garantizan desde lo público.
Muchas gracias, Patricia. Isabel, ¿cuál puede ser el aporte desde el sector que representa?
Yo por poco completar, y ya desde la perspectiva de la empresa privada, y aquí voy a diferenciar empresa privada y fundación privada. Yo creo que las empresas privadas que operamos en el sector de las telecomunicaciones o en el ámbito telco en general, tenemos por un lado que garantizar ese derecho a la conectividad, que es la base para una digitalización universal e inclusiva, ¿no? ¿Y cómo se garantiza ese derecho a la conectividad? Primero con el despliegue de infraestructura. En España creo que somos uno de los países referentes en el despliegue de infraestructura. Todavía hay zonas rurales donde se ha de mejorar y para eso se necesita inversión y políticas y normativas que fomenten esa inversión en el despliegue, ¿no? Y luego, desde la parte más del diseño de aplicativos, tenemos que trabajar en el diseño de aplicativos que sean seguros, que garanticen los derechos para los usuarios y que sean accesibles y fáciles, ¿no? Ya desde la perspectiva más social de los proyectos que desarrollamos en la Fundación Telefónica, yo creo que la mayor aportación que podemos hacer en este contexto digital es acompañar en la formación y en la sensibilización, poniendo ese conocimiento que tenemos del negocio a disposición de la generalidad para evitar que se produzcan esos vulnerables digitales, ¿no?
Wow, bien, muchas gracias. Última pregunta y empezamos por ti. Sí, así vieron los mareos un poquitito, ¿no? Claro. Bueno, Isabel, entonces, si tuviéramos la posibilidad de pensar retos concretos de aquí a 2 años, que no es mucho tiempo, pero tampoco es poco, ¿no? ¿Cuáles son los 2 retos y las 2 acciones fundamentales que crees que desde el sector podrían aplicar?
Bueno, difícil pregunta porque retos hay muchos, ¿no? Uno más global es, ya que ya existen esas conversaciones políticas y públicas y que estamos todos alineados en cuál es el objetivo, creo que nuestro siguiente reto es que esos principios, esas normas, esas políticas que se conformen sean globales y traspasen nuestras fronteras. Es muy ambicioso y no accesible en el corto plazo, pero creo que el mundo digital, como nos movemos en un entorno global, tiene que ser global en todos los términos, ¿no? Y como reto más en el corto plazo, a mí me preocupan especialmente las personas mayores, ¿no? Creo que la digitalización está fenomenal, pero conlleva un cambio cultural y un cambio en el modo de aprender que entraña en sí un riesgo de exclusión para las personas que no han nacido en esa era digital. Entonces, fomentar los proyectos de acompañamiento hacia ellas.
Antonio, tus dos retos imprescindibles.
Uno, que dejemos de hablar de alfabetización y que vayamos del byte a megabyte. Subir el nivel de alfabetización, el de conocimiento y de la usabilidad. Y el desideratum que podría tener es el tema de derechos digitales, pero pensado que no vulneremos a personas en derechos humanos, y el derecho digital está ahí. Para eso yo creo que el gran reto que tenemos es que la persona se conciencia realmente que tiene una responsabilidad después de un derecho. Y esa responsabilidad también tiene a la par, y ahí verdaderamente apelo a que la persona existe, y muchas veces no la vemos. El ejemplo que siempre pongo, todo el mundo en homeless, ¿no? El sinhogarismo, no queremos ver al homeless, pero nadie le pisa. Pues en esto igual. Hay personas que están en brechas digitales muy alejados del alfabetismo digital, pero nadie verdaderamente los pisa, nadie los tiene que tener en cuenta, porque no son productos, no son económicamente rentables. Ahí está, yo creo, ¿no? La democratización, verdaderamente, el peligro que tiene, yo creo que el gran avance que tuvo Internet es la gran democratización que hubo en esto, que es casi gratis, realmente, y con accesibilidad. Pues ahí está, la democracia participativa viene también por el tema comunitario y digital.
Voy a mencionar me habéis dicho dos retos, pero voy a hacer uno por área. Empezamos con la parte de conectividad, tenía toda la razón Patricia. Ahí lo que estamos, en los próximos 2 años, lo que se puede esperar hasta febrero del 2026, por dar unas fechas concretas, es que vamos a seguir profundizando en los despliegues que estamos haciendo de fibra y de 5G en la región para llevar la conectividad a todo el mundo y a todos los municipios, en este caso de la Comunidad de Madrid, pero se va a hacer, es decir, se está haciendo también en otras comunidades autónomas. Eso es un milestone que tenemos. Luego también, por ejemplo, en los coles, la digitalización que estamos haciendo en los colegios, ahondar en ese plan de ciberprotección, sobre todo para que, primero, por un lado, tengas acceso a siempre para el uso que se determine por parte del profesorado de dispositivos, de portátiles, por ejemplo, pero que también sepas interactuar pues, en redes sociales ante una situación de bullying o de ciberbullying y demás, ¿no? O sea, seguir ahondando en esa, no en la alfabetización de byte, como comentaba, sino de megabyte, ¿no? Luego, por otro lado, también hasta junio del 26 vamos a seguir profundizando en todo lo que son los programas de formación en digitalización. Ahí hay varios proyectos, como Madrid Aula Digital. El objetivo concreto son formar a 78.000 personas en habilidades digitales transversales. Aquí hemos montado todo tipo de un Netflix educativo, digamos, de formación básica hasta formación muy avanzada. O sea que si quieres aprender también a hacer un podcast, lo puedes aprender. Y así no sea solo de alfabetización que estábamos hablando, ¿no? Y luego también seguir haciendo extensiva esa red de centros de capacitación para que te puedas formar también de forma presencial donde más te convenga, ¿no? Es decir, que digamos mitigar esas brechas que se puedan dar, ¿no? Y luego que en la última parte, o sea, como no nos aburrimos en la consejería, todo seguir ahondando en que, pues bueno, seguir profundizando en la securización de todos los servicios públicos, de que aprendas y seas consciente que interactuar con la administración de forma digital es totalmente seguro. También puedes elegir la presencialidad siempre, ¿no? Pero seguir haciendo más accesible por medio de los rediseños de los servicios que estamos haciendo. Aquí estamos trabajando de aquí a 2024, por daros fechas y por no dar números etéreos, en 52 procedimientos de aquí a final de año, que son los que tienen el 80% de la volumetría de todo lo que gestiona el ciudadano con la administración, rediseñarlos desde la persona y, por supuesto, automatizar todo lo que se pueda para que para ti la administración sea transparente y no haya ninguna fricción. Y con eso me callo.
Gracias.
Yo señalaría dos ámbitos, por complementar también lo que se ha dicho, con lo que estoy de acuerdo, dos ámbitos que me parecen muy relevantes. Yo creo que es imprescindible, desde el punto de vista de la administración pública, promover espacios de supervisión para poder reforzar espacios de defensa de derechos. Creo que que todo lo expansivo, creativo, innovador que es el mundo digital lo compartimos, incluso las personas, en muchos casos, son las grandes beneficiadas de algunos de los hallazgos digitales más importantes. Hablamos de teleasistencia avanzada, hablamos de mejora de la calidad de vida de personas dependientes, hablamos de, en el ámbito educativo, las oportunidades que puede dar esto, hablamos de medicina, hablamos de muchos otros ámbitos, pero también es cierto, y creo que a nadie se nos escapa, que hay un gran riesgo en este ámbito. Un riesgo que precisamente, a pesar de que comparto con Antonio que Internet fue un espacio democratizador de primera magnitud, no sé si lo es en este momento, hay muchos riesgos, hay muchos riesgos asociados y creo que hay una responsabilidad pública de supervisar y de reforzar los espacios de garantía de derechos de las personas. Y una segunda iniciativa me parece, tiene que ver con lo que comentaba al principio del reto de la implementación. Pues está muy bien, hablamos, discutimos, tenemos objetivos comunes, tenemos una hoja de ruta, pero luego eso hay que implementarlo. Y ahí es donde realmente vamos a poder concretar si esos derechos se garantizan o no. Aquí creo que tenemos que ahondar en la capacitación de las personas, cada una al nivel que necesite, y, por supuesto, respetando la libertad de las personas de no entrar en el ámbito digital. Tenemos que hacer adaptaciones razonables y tenemos que buscar siempre, yo creo que cuando se diseña algo para toda la población, siempre tenemos que estar pensando los decisores públicos cuáles son los ámbitos que se quedan fuera, cuáles son los colectivos y las personas y poder hacer adaptaciones de todas esas herramientas para realmente garantizar que todas las personas tengan acceso a ella. Apoyos, acompañamiento, yo creo que esto es imprescindible, creo que todos los procesos de inclusión necesitan acompañamiento y este también. Por supuesto, financiación, apoyo financiero y, desde luego, hacer una reflexión que tiene que ver con una transformación digital humanizada, ética, que creo que no puede correr en un carril paralelo al de la transformación digital en sí. Tiene que ir junto y, desde luego, la innovación, el propio contexto digital se presta a la innovación y creo que todo esto tiene que estar al servicio de la implementación y de la garantía de esos derechos digitales.
Bueno, la verdad, muchas gracias a cada uno de ustedes por su aporte. Yo me quedo pensando en algunas palabras simplemente que me parece que han sido suficientemente contundentes, ¿no? La primera, el hablar de derechos vulnerados, que me parece que es una buena terminología, ¿no? La segunda es la interdisciplina y la complementariedad y los diferentes roles que tenemos dentro de la sociedad, el Estado, la empresa y el tercer sector, digamos, ¿no? Complementarios sí, pero no iguales. Las dos últimas cosas tienen que ver con, primero, el acceso, ¿no? Que lo traías tú muy claramente, o sea, hay que invertir en ese acceso y demás, para empezar a resolver brechas que son profundas y que hay que tomarlas con mucho cuidado. Además del acceso, una alfabetización inicial que incluya a todos. Me quedo pensando en el tema de la implementación, del seguimiento, del acompañamiento, de que si queremos de verdad que sea para todos, tiene que ser centrado en las personas. Y ahí, bueno, es el desafío que nos toca. Seguiremos conversando. Muchas gracias a cada uno de ustedes y a todos por este rato compartido, de verdad.
Muchas gracias, Alejandra, y al resto de componentes de la mesa. Pasamos ya al cuarto y último eje temático de la mañana y del encuentro: educar en alfabetización mediática, datos e inteligencia artificial. Participa como ponente Angeliki Giannakopoulou. Angeliki es coordinadora de proyectos de la Asociación Europea de Educación de Adultos. Posee un máster integrado en Ingeniería Informática, formación certificada en Educación y Asesoramiento de Adultos, además de un máster en Estudios de Género. Antes de trabajar en la Asociación Europea de Educación de Adultos, fue gestora de proyectos y educadora de adultos en Grecia. Sus principales áreas de interés en el aprendizaje y la educación de adultos son la digitalización y los medios de comunicación, los espacios públicos seguros, tanto físicos como digitales, el género y la interseccionalidad. We move now on to the fourth and last stream, educating in media literacy, data and artificial intelligence. The keynote speech will be delivered by Angeliki Giannakopoulou. Angeliki, please.
I hope that you can hear me. This must be a really good microphone because I cannot hear myself too loudly, but you can hear me. Thank you for that. It's great. Yes, I want to thank everybody today for being here with us to join the discussion, and of course, our wonderful hosts. All Digital, first of all, for organizing the All Digital Summit, but also Foro de Derechos Digitales, Fundación Splay, and Plataforma Red Conecta. Thank you so much for having us here. This is an exceptional venue. Everything is going really, really well and really, really interestingly. So thank you all for being here. So to get a little bit into why we're here, why I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you because of a project that we call AI, Artificial Intelligence, for Adult Learning. And next to it, next to the title, we also have a very important phrase, and that's for a mindful adoption of AI. Let's see if this works. Does it? Yeah, we got it. So why AI in adult education? Why are we interested in that? And why are we interested in that through a mindful and well-informed way? So we are interested in that because it provides us a chance to improve skills assessment. You will hear more about that in our workshops, but also in the next panel, because our colleague Christoph is going to be representing the skills assessment aspect of what we are doing. And we also want AI in adult education and its mindful adoption because we want to establish a platform for critical and informed participation. For the concept of the improved skills assessment, we are really interested in that because it provides us a completely new universe on how to create more established, learner-centered and tailor-made learning opportunities. You will see a little bit how we try to do that in this project by co-creating with our community our own little AI. But I think it's something that more or less we have started using already in our capacities, and it is the time to get a little bit more informed on how to do it even better and at a pace that does not disregard our past, it does not disregard our roles as educators, as communities, as learners, but it enhances our ability to work, and it helps our already overworked educators and providers. On the point of the critical and informed participation, a really key point for us is co-creation, is taking a seat at the table, fighting for a more decentralized view of AI, and going towards something that includes our community, it includes our needs, and it includes our wish and our will for regulation in a sense that profits our learners, profits our communities more than it does external profits and benefits. And then the last really important bit is that it helps us reclaim our power and it helps us reclaim our space in what is currently happening. Demystifying AI and understanding where we stand in it is really important for us to recognize that as adult learners, that as adult educators, and that as providers, we actually hold power, and we have to reclaim that in the digital education sphere. And this is why I think it is so relevant exactly in the topic of this summit today, engaging in citizenship in the digital era. It is really important to be actual active citizens, that we are informed, that we are the ones that choose where we are involved and where we're not, when to be online and when to be offline. So this is essential, and I see some colleagues that really co-sign on the fact that talking about digitalization is also recognizing when to be offline and what has to be available to everybody. So how did we get to all of this? This was not something that we just thought one day, we sat down, we wrote it down. It's actually coming from quite a few educators from around Europe, and coming from the networks of the organizations involved in AI for All, which are the AA, the European Association for the Education of Adults, where I'm coming from. We have, of course, All Digital, that is our communications coordinator in this endeavor. We have ProArbeit, we have SkillUp, we have CPIP, we have our colleagues, our associated partners from SVEB, all around Europe, in Germany, in Italy, Egina, of course. I cannot see Valentina or anyone from the Egina team. Okay, there you are. Hi, Eliana is there. Eliana is one of our tutors. So we are a really nice team. We have Italy, Germany. We kind of have Spain, where is Angel. He really helped us. Hi, Angel. In all of this, in getting the 60 educators, and of course we have our colleagues from Romania here as well. So these 60 educators came from all around Europe. They answered the survey, and they really helped us understand what is happening for them in this context of AI taking over, or rather us getting to know that it's getting over. If you follow our courses, you will see that it's been going on since 1953, but it's now that the hype is up, and it's now that we actually need to be more informed about it. So these initial 60 educators were joined by an additional 100 educators that helped us throughout the way, and they gave us some really interesting insights that I guess can be quite relevant to your work as well. So the first thing, one of the most significant topics that we touched upon is the integration of AI in adult learning and education. And what is the space that it can occupy? Is it going to be overbearing? Is it already overbearing? Or can it be something that we can actually control? So in this, let's say, challenge that people identified and were quite anxious, I will say, about it in our discussion and in our learning circles, the suggestion was that we have to see AI for what it is, and at this point, it's something big, but it's actually a tool. And it is a tool that could assist learners in discussing and reflecting on what they've learned, enhance personal contact. It can actually enhance personal contact, identify unseen gaps in pre-existing knowledge, and offer new ways for educators to perform. This was really important because we saw that maybe this is an opportunity to take out this concept of just acquiring knowledge for the sake of knowledge, because this can be done by several AI, and starting to see how our interpersonal relationship is what will take us into the next steps, is how taking out of the knowledge for the sake of knowledge to somewhere where we actually communicate, somewhere where we have a tool, an assistant to help us go through the more minuscule tasks to actually create communities and to actually coexist. So on that account, the second key point of our findings was on the importance of finding complementary yet intuitive ways to integrate AI into our learning platforms. So in a way, it is really important to the group of learners and educators to interact, but most importantly, that the content submitted to AI comes from this interaction. This was something that came because the people that actually took part in our survey already knew what we were kind of trying to do, which was co-create with them an AI, get their expertise in, get their data in order to teach it how to work. So it's really important in this point to see how AI can actually be a part of what we already have in a way that is not, again, overbearing. The third point has to do with how we support educators with repetitive and minuscule tasks. This actually came in as the first thing that our educators thought when talking about AI. It was a helper, an assistant to do communications about our learning institutions, to write really quickly short notes or messages because they didn't have enough time to do that and do their actual work as educators. So I think that this is something that we really have to see, and it is also an essential part of skills assessment as well, because as we said previously, it's really important to see how we can use some tools to identify maybe unseen optics of our relationships, facilitate the sharing of knowledge, the sharing of challenges in a way that is not as dangerous or cannot seem as dangerous for the learner. And this is a place where AI can actually help us, and hopefully we'll see that when you try out our tool and how we actually do that. So to wrap this up a bit, we ended up saying that AI-based solutions for education and training of vulnerable and disadvantaged groups is also a really key aspect that we tend to forget. By creating platforms that are more intuitive, it's much easier to actually tailor to the needs of some of our learners that did not have the capacity previously to take part in more traditional ways of skills assessment, to take part in more traditional ways of interaction. So there is a great opportunity that AI can remove these barriers and then work towards gaining and experimenting more with new skills. So, but on that, we have to be quite clear. We have to be aware that we still need to steer clear of harmful biases because, we'll see it later on, AI learns what we teach it, and this became quite evident in our process as well. So we always have to be aware of our positioning. We always have to be aware of who we include in this process. So I think we have established that AI can have, let's say, a really transformative role in education. Already we see that it's being used, sometimes unknowingly, sometimes knowingly, from recommended courses to the use of generative AI, to exporting data for learners, to intuitive learning opportunities. It's definitely here, and it's definitely part of our societies and of our communities, so we really have to jump on that train. And to do that, we also need to do some internal work and reevaluate a little bit our teaching methodologies and our role as educators, in a sense that we try to find the opportunity while critically reflecting on where to start and where to stop. So just to have a bit of an idea later on this speech, we have to establish maybe what is this AI. And AI, more or less, is anything that is done by a machine, but we could think that it's done by a human being. It's not magic, it's just data that we give to our machinery, is things that we provide, is things that we have lived, is things that we have experienced. There is nothing if there isn't the human element. So it's really important to recognize that after we talk about it in this fear of myth, it's really important to see that it's not myth, it's actually quite human-based. It's actually all on us. We can have control over it. We can have control over it the more decentralized that it is, the more co-created that it is, the more inclusive that it is. So keeping in mind that this is not, it's not magic and that it is data, we have to also keep in mind that we have to fight for more inclusive processes for three main reasons. The first thing is that if we don't have enough data for our communities to be represented, then the AI won't work well for us. If we have unclean data or biased data or wrong data, the AI will not know and will learn that as well. And this is really an important advocacy point, because we have seen that AI is something that is happening, but we have to establish that there is a grave need from our part to advocate for our target groups, for vulnerable groups, for people in a context of systemic exclusion, to be included as data sets in this vast, let's say, pool of data that we're using in AI. And this, what we tried to do, was just a small first step in it by including our wonderful people, our wonderful learners and educators, just to say that we are here, we have an opinion, and we can actually make together something that works for us and only for us. So in this context, I know that many of our educators, many of our people in our community, very reasonably so, have several concerns about the ethics of AI. Of course, in the EU, we already have the AI Act, but we're still working on the regulation of AI in education, which is a really important scheme running in the moment, seeing what this regulation can look like, who is to be regulated, because we have several discussions at this moment that we tend to over-regulate the learners and not regulate the people's in charge. So maybe that's something to think about during the day. It's really important to work towards establishing the fact that we have historical data that are biased, we have imbalanced and unrepresentative data, we have unintentional and intentional assumptions in our algorithms, and this is going to be a long way forward, a long way in terms of policy, of advocacy, of our actual practice, of our actual day-to-day work, in order to see how this can be more of a reasonable part of our community and of our day-to-day, if and when we need it. So in conclusion, from the speech, and before I show you just really briefly our actual results, you can actually be involved, you can register to get access to all of our tools. You can keep on advocating for decentralized AIs. You can keep on taking active part in the processes for creating ethical and grassroots technologies, and by ensuring that people get informed, they get access, and especially underrepresented groups get a seat at the table. So all of this, we want to help you do it, and we will show you how we want to help you do it. So what we created, the first bit, is our engagement kit. Of course, in the workshop, you will see it much, much better, where we have a methodological guide on how to ethically use AI. We have online scenarios from educators that use their tools, that use AI, that want to keep on working with it, that don't want to keep on working with it, and why. Create a community of practice, let's say, a community of exchange, and in there you can also find our capacity building webinars if you have 1 to 4 hours to spend, closer to 8. But yeah, in any case, you're really welcome to go and visit our engagement kit. The second really important bit is our AI for All matching tool, which again you will see today. You can try it out, the ones that have followed our workshop. It's an AI-based solution that has, let's say, one part that is on skills assessment and skills identification, our user app, but then an equally important part that is the admin portal that educators can use to actually see where their learners stand, how they feel about their skills, about their opportunities, about their life course, and how they reach this point that they have in life. Identify those skills by using, of course, DITCOMP and ESCO frameworks, and then get a really nice, magical result in the end that helps them create tailor-made provisions and opportunities. So it takes a little bit of time to actually see its results, but so far everybody has been having quite a lot of fun with it, so we hope you do as well. And the last bit, the very, very important bit of our project, is our self-paced training path. Is a series of modules of learning capacities that you can choose to follow on understanding AI fundamentals, on understanding ethical and responsible use of AI, starting working with AI in education with practical examples and processes, watching how to use some use cases on our tool, then going a little bit back and seeing where all of this fits with the existing frameworks and digital competencies for educators and citizens, a really important part, and finishing off with the AI for All scenario repository. So after you followed all of this, we wish that you also share with us what you got from your involvement, and join the community with your fellow educators and your fellow adult education or lifelong learning providers. And I hope that this is just the beginning for a really interesting, critical, confident, but also laid down journey. We don't have to hurry. We just have to start. We just have to try and be there especially for the people that want to learn what this is, why this is, and how this is. And this is our role to cover this bridge, this gap. So thank you everybody so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, Angeliki. Cerramos esta segunda sesión plenaria con la segunda y última mesa redonda que profundizará sobre el tema introducido por Angeliki. Nos acompaña para moderar la mesa Afonso Araujo. Afonso es responsable del proyecto de la Academia de All Digital. Antes de incorporarse a All Digital en 2022, trabajó como consultor de financiación europea para clientes de diferentes áreas y como gestor de proyectos Horizon 2020 y Erasmus+, en temas relacionados con competencias digitales. Tiene un máster en Economía Internacional y Asuntos Europeos y es licenciado en Economía por la Nova School of Business and Economics. We close this plenary session with the last panel discussion with experts from All Digital. The panel will be moderated by Afonso Araujo, responsible of the All Digital Academy project.
Is this on? Yes. Hi. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see so many people here today, considering last night's festivities. But great. So I would start by a short presentation, and then we'll get to the questions. As you know, education is the foundation of progress. It equips people with knowledge and skills they need to thrive in a rapidly changing world brought by the emergence of technologies like artificial intelligence and virtual reality. These innovations enhance traditional classrooms and open up entirely new possibilities, such as personalized learning. With this in mind, for the past 2.5 years, All Digital, together with two partners that are here present today, implemented an Erasmus project called the All Digital Academy, which actually comes to its end this month, but there will be a bit more on that later today. And through this project, we have created a hub for learning content on emerging technologies, including AI and IoT. And in this period of 2.5 years, the hub grew to 4,000 stakeholders, and we have continuously added more and more educational content. With that having said, hi, good morning. We are joined here by 5 experts, and I would start with you, Julius Cosgrove, Scientific and Technical Officer at the JRC. The previous European Commission invested heavily to make Europe fit for the digital age, where emerging technologies play a crucial role, a trend that we hope to see in this new Commission, hopefully. Thinking about the digital competences and the skills necessary to meet various challenges that Europe is facing, what research activities is the JRC planning to support this new Commission?
I think this is on. Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much for the opportunity to be on this panel. It's really good to be here, and it's a really exciting conference. Just to mention that the work of the Joint Research Centre is to provide science for policy, and the team that I work on focuses on the social implications of the digital transformation. So maybe to answer the question, I will describe briefly the work of our team, but first consider some of the challenges and priorities associated with the new Commission, and then I'll explain how the work of our team tries to find solutions to support these policy priorities. So, as we've heard already, the new Commission is prioritising skills in a big way to help us to confront some of the complex challenges that we're facing. So, for example, President von der Leyen has proposed a Union of Skills and a European strategy for vocational and educational training. And similarly, we see this emphasis on skills in the Future of European Competitiveness report by Mario Draghi, where he highlights that concerted efforts are needed to close skill gaps at all stages of education. And we also have heard an awful lot of discussion, which has been really fantastic to hear, increasing concerns about digital well-being in relation to things like social media, the always-on culture, and the potentially addictive nature of smartphone apps. And as we've also heard, recent major legislation such as the AI Act and the Digital Services Act, they do offer regulation to protect citizens. However, this is a clear signal that AI systems and related concerns such as data, privacy and rights need to be prioritised in our work. So to help look at these, our team is undertaking work, you could say, in 3 areas. I can describe these very briefly to you. The first area is research on digital skills, and this examines the gap between digital skills supply and demand, identifying policy actions that might help to address the gap. This year we published a report on digital skills demand and a second report that looks at digital skills training of workers. We're also analysing the Digital Skills Indicator, or DSI, which you may have heard of. It's used to measure one of the digital decade targets, to try and get a more granular understanding of skills gaps on the supply side. And this work on digital skills builds on previous work, so it's sort of gradually building a knowledge base. The second area we have is looking at digital well-being. We have a study that is looking at the effect of digital technologies and well-being from the perspective of multiple stakeholders in order to develop practical instruments for member states to support well-being in digital contexts. So in the panel previously, we heard about these implementation challenges. So we're mindful that practical, concrete solutions are needed here. The third strand of our work considers emerging trends and their implications for society, including education and training. And this is a really interesting and broad area, as you can imagine. So last year we published a report which identified several emerging technologies and trends and considered some of their implications. And we're following up in a little more depth in some of these topics now, such as examining attitudes to an adoption of generative AI by various stakeholders, implications of recent digital legislation in education and training, use of AI in VET, and skills needs in relation to immersive technologies. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. Thank you. Moving on, Juan Pablo Ferrero. You are the director of Western Europe at the Global Education Sales Team in Intel. AI has the potential to revolutionize the tools we use to learn and teach. Intel, as a tech and software developer, has a big role in this revolution. How does Intel, and yourself, of course, how do you see AI transforming the traditional role of teachers in classroom? And do you believe that AI will augment certain or replace certain teaching responsibilities in our classrooms?
Thank you, Alfonso. I will give you a previous background in order to answer that questions. But first, I would like to mention that Intel has been working in education during a long time, more than 25 years. Probably you all know that we have been working at the beginning, of course, on infrastructure, devices, training, contents. And something that I will talk today is about the training for teachers. In the past, we already did the training for teachers that probably somebody remember that it was called Intel Teach. We did a training for 17 million teachers worldwide during many years, not in a short time. Today, I will talk about a new program that is called Skills for Innovation. We started with Skills for Innovation in 2020. And the objective was to start working and using the technology to improve the academic outcomes. The objective to do that, we say, okay, we can go to train the teachers, and with that, develop the skill sets and mindsets on students, creating a new workforce for each of the countries. In that sense, we created a platform. The platform, let me let you know that is totally for free. All the training is based on Bloom taxonomy. And into the platform, there are two areas. There is one area for the teachers' training. It's called professional development. The teachers can go there and do the training by their own. There are more than 80 hours of training for teachers. There are 4 blocks, starting from an area for teachers that never used the technology to deliver classes, up to the level 4 that is for researchers. So it's very, very complete. And if somebody wants to know about what is inside that training, there are good documents to see. One of the documents is, I would like to say thank you to All Digital because I was collaborating on this, and it's an assessment and alignment to show that it's totally aligned with DIGCOM. The other one is an evaluation of impact from Harvard University. All these documents, I will tell you later how to enter in the platform, but you will find all that document immediately to download and read. And something additional is that if you do the training, you can do exams and get a certificate from Intel on regard to that. So we are collaborating with teachers in order to recognize all the efforts to acquire digital skills. In addition to that, into the platform, there is another area with materials. There are lessons, specific lessons, very well built, 2 hours each one. We come with more than 100 lessons, and that lessons are translated in 20 languages. So all that lesson is possible to use in different levels, from, imagine here, from primary, secondary, up to the vocational, up to that area. And you can download it and use it on Windows OS or Chrome OS. So we are trying to cover all that is possible. What is happening lately, and because all these meetings today are connected to artificial intelligence, that into that 100 more lessons, we come with 21 lessons specific and oriented to artificial intelligence. That are the most demanded. Everybody wants to learn about that. What is happening, you can go and see that we are talking about computing vision, we are talking about natural language processing, we are talking about robotics. So for all levels, it's very, very interesting. And I will go to your questions. Because your question, when you ask me about if the artificial intelligence will replace the teachers, I say no. There is an augmentation. That artificial intelligence is a tool to help the teachers. I've been reading in one report from McKinsey mentioning that, well, with that it was report created in different countries that it's possible for teachers that actually are using artificial intelligence to reuse the time. So they can recover more than 30% of the time that they were using for administrative tasks or some additional activities to use in the class. So the teachers are using and working on the creation of lesson planning, working on with their students, more time, identifying new ways to learn on each of their students. And the artificial intelligence is also interesting on personalized learning. On personalized learning, something that will come because someday, if all the students also can get the right devices, it will be possible to use personalized learning with each one of the students. Something I want to mention is that we need to be careful on artificial intelligence using the private data, so let's comply with the GDPR, And for that, and for the second question, when you asked me about specific, let's say, solutions and technologies, I would like to recommend devices, specific devices we are creating for all, but are very useful for teachers. Probably you heard about AI PC. What is an AI PC? AI PC is a new device. It's like a laptop, but it's including all the engines to process the artificial intelligence on device. So it's good to do the processing in the cloud, but also on device, because there are a lot of information that is very sensitive and is very private, and it will be a need to come with devices specific to process what that is information that imagine information of the students that you don't want to upload to the cloud, and because you don't know what will happen. So there are specific devices for teachers that I can recommend called AI PC. I don't want to use more minutes. Thank you, and I will move to the next one.
Thank you, Juan Pablo. Thank you so much. Moving on a little bit into the other projects. Aquiles Cabez, you need no introduction. I think most of us know you, but I'll try my best. You're a researcher and professor at Hellenic Open University, one of the partners in the project, that was responsible for the development of the IoT MOOC. Now that the project is coming to an end, as I mentioned before, what was done differently in building this MOOC in IoT?
Okay, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks, Afonso, for giving me the opportunity to participate in this panel and present something that is not AI, not about AI. First of all, let me say why we are part of this project. We were, because as you said, the project is ending, enthusiastically partners of this project. I teach at Hellenic Open University. This is an open university, which means that we teach adults from a distance. And as you already said, All Digital Academy is about educators. So this is our target group. Second, I am director of a master's course on IoT that is offered from a distance. And it's been running now for 10 years. And I think, as far as I know, it's probably the first master's course, distance master's course on IoT, pure IoT in Europe. So we were right on the topic as well. And then I am directing the DAISY group in Hellenic Open University, and one of our principal tasks, one principal directions, let's say, in the group is to develop MOOCs, massive online open courses. So everything fit very well, and that's how we became members of this project. And then when we were discussing about the topics, the subjects that we would upload firstly in All Digital Academy, and AI, of course, was the prime candidate and was a really important topic, then we considered and we agreed to add IoT mainly because, you know, AI is based on data, is about data, right? But where does this data come from? Well, a big part of this data comes from IoT systems. So, and IoT systems are everywhere. And nowadays, perhaps IoT is not anymore the hot keyword. It was a couple of years ago. Now it's been replaced by AI. But we are expecting a new generation, let's say, of IoT systems and IoT devices when AI will reach a peak that this new generation, this new wave will exploit the capabilities of AI, will embed it. So we will be looking towards a wide proliferation and adoption of smart IoT systems. Therefore, the combination of these two subjects was ideal, let's say, to initiate the All Digital Academy. And then we had to design this MOOC, this massive open online course on IoT. Before that, and actually around that time, I had done some work for JRC, because the JRC was moving from Digicom 2.1 to Digicom 0.2, and I was asked to research a little bit the IoT domain and send suggestions on how IoT could be statements, because this is a difference between the two versions, how IoT statements could be included, which IoT statements could be included in Digicom 2.2. And I did that, and I sent a list of statements mapped to competencies of Digicom. Some of them were included, some of them were not included, but then we thought that since we have this mapping, so we have managed to map IoT-related statements to Digicom competencies, then we should design, we could design this IoT MOOC based on Digicom, following the Digicom, let's say, structure and content. And this is what we did. So we have a massive open online course that is targeting IoT, but is following the Digicom structure of competencies, using a set of statements that was expanded, of course, for the needs of the project. Just to add a few more things, the first is that this course is addressed to educators. It's not a beginner's course. It's, I would say, at intermediate level, so whoever takes this course needs to have some basic understanding of computing and IT. It is exhaustive. It deals with all the aspects of Internet of Things. And it not only trains, well, aims to train the educators so that they become more knowledgeable and more skilled in IoT as a domain, but also provides material that they could use to train their students. We're talking about adult educators here, so we expect that the students also will be, not, I wouldn't say professionals, but related to the IoT domain. So I would say that that's how we proceeded with designing the MOOC, and that's probably one of an important novelty. I'm not aware of any other training resource that follows this approach and this structure.
Thank you so much for that complete review of the course. Moving on to the other side of the coin in this course, David Marocco, a professor at the University of Naples, another partner who developed the AI MOOC. The course covers different approaches on AI, ranging from history to applications and coding. What is the rationale behind the course on AI within ADA?
Yes, yeah, can you hear me, right? Yes. So first of all, I'd like to thank you to be here. I mean, it's a very interesting way to get in touch with new advancement on especially AI, which is something I'm interested in, and everybody's interested in AI at the moment, so it's not very novel, I will say, what I'm going to talk about. But I mean, I'd like to give a brief background. So I'm working on AI from a very peculiar way. So in the sense that I'm not an engineer or you know, like computer science guy. I'm a philosopher, but as a formation, of course. But then I moved into the field of robotics and making some practical stuff after a while. Myself and also the other guy that are working with me, we work more in a psychological environment. So like using AI to replicate human behaviors or behaviors in general, right? So we have this approach since like 25 years ago. And therefore I'm very sensitive to the aspect of what is relevant in understanding modern AI, in the sense that I don't think that the technology is neutral on the way in which we approach AI today, because the AI has changed a lot, especially in the last 10, 15 years. Before there was the so-called symbolic AI, is still present, of course, but the majority of the tools that we are now using, all the hype around the AI, is not anymore on symbolic AI, as it was called, but is in sub-symbolic AI, which is neural networks and all these tools. And Therefore, we thought, well, what can be a way to introduce this concept to people like Achilles said, that maybe has to transfer this to other people. And so we maybe decided in the end to have maybe a kind of academic approach, but try to give a framework within the AI in order to understand when we talk about the new model of AI that everybody's talking about, what we are talking about exactly, right? So we started with like an historical excursus around AI and making clear, I hope, that the new tools of AI comes from the needs, for example, of understanding human beings rather than creating tools to do something. Right? So the first perceptron was published in a psychological review paper. And so try to give this view, right, of this new AI, and from this historical point of view, then giving some fundamental information about how normally we work on this domain, which is a bit more technical. And also, we tried to, this was very difficult to be honest, so I don't know to what extent we were able to do it properly, to give a bit of a flavor of what it means working with an AI system from a kind of different point of view. We used Python basically and tried to give a little flavor of what it means to run a program with Python using different algorithms, including a neural network, but not only, also a cluster analysis. And so to try to provide a whole flow that goes from understanding the root of the system up to the usage that you can make of the system in a very simple way. So in the sense that we provide, for example, some Python script that can be used already, and we just propose to change a few things in order to make the people understand maybe what's happened when you change some fundamental elements of the program. Right? Then, of course, we have a final aspect, let's say some final lectures on like the modern use of AI and some aspects of ethics of AI. You know, everybody are talking about that. It's extremely important. But really, I think, just to conclude, that what we tried to do was to have a kind of naive approach to AI, in a sense, and helping people that are maybe a bit confused on what AI is, certainly is technology, but what kind of technology is. So trying to provide this and giving maybe the idea that we are really thinking that, right? That this new AI may change a lot, right? Because it can be used in many different layers, many different levels, and some of the levels we know it, like for ChatGPT, you know, can really provide new transformative tools for people to work without knowing exactly what is under the hood. But I think that to use it properly, you need to understand what is under the hood, right? So this, in our small effort, is what we have tried to do.
And it was a lot of work and very important. Moving on to Christoph Brettelt. You're the co-founder of Skill Lab, a technology company that uses AI to help find jobs in a very simple way. What key factors need to be in place for AI adoption in both education and the labor market?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I work for an Amsterdam-based technology company, and we connect people with jobs and education on what we call the universal language of skills. We get to that later. We dominantly work with governments, so public employment services and education services. And I think my reflection really ground on this experience. What we're also is we're part of the AI for All consortium that Angeliki just presented, so I think my answers shouldn't deviate too much from what you just heard. And might sound very familiar. As simple as it sounds, I think a key factor that we observe, which should be in place but sometimes isn't, is that an organization that seeks to implement AI needs to know why they do this. That sounds very simple, but what we often observe is that, especially in this discourse of generative AI, is that organizations feel under pressure to use AI for the sake of using AI. And that's a real problem, because you can't measure if it was a successful intervention or not. So the key thing that before you do anything, you need to find out is, why do you want AI? What do you want it to do? What's the next best alternative that you have? And then how do you measure it? And that's something we think is highly neglected, is the question of how do you measure if something really helped you or distracted you at worst case, right? So I think that's a really fundamental thing that we see organizations need to get right. The other thing is, and you heard this before, is data. So it's one thing to understand that I like a yellow t-shirt because I search for it on the internet, or I click on an ad with a yellow t-shirt on it. In the field of education and employment, this is challenging, right? I firmly believe that AI can enhance services, and AI can make things quicker, more effective, create better outcomes, but it also requires a very complex set of data points to work. And this has, we can speak about the modern models and the advancement of certain models versus others, but at the end of the day, it all falls and rises with the quality of the data. Now, anyone who ever worked with people in a situation where they're trying to make a decision on what course to take, which competencies to build on, how to learn, what to do with what they learned in the wider labor market, knows that this is something which, as much as we hope for, you cannot simply automate. This is valuable information, valuable data points, but you need to get this out of human interaction. And this is a key thing we need to understand, right? If you really want AI to work, you need to make it work for your country, your region, and probably your organization. And that's what I think David also mentioned. That's what the key difference between, say, AI and a conventional software solution is, that a conventional software solution works almost the same for everyone. If you want it to be changed, you need to go to the developer and ask them to do these changes, and the developer says, oh, are there enough people who want it this way? Now with AI, it's slightly different because it's adaptive and responsive. And that gives the autonomy back to, let's say, the agency, back to the education and employment providers, because they are the ones which through their learners, basically, possess this high-quality data. And that's really what matters. So you can have an inferior model with better quality training data. It will create better results, and you need to know why you use it. Now, the last point is, and that's also something you heard from Angeliki, this data is obtained through human interaction, and that means you need your staff, the staff of the employment and education services, to go out and be comfortable in explaining why they collect a certain data point and what that AI model does. And I think this has to do a lot with the demystification of AI, and I really appreciate all of the efforts basically to do this and say, at the end of the day, it's a model, yes, but it's also the quality of the data, the problems that you want to solve, and everybody should be, or should feel almost like obliged to contribute to developing this in the organizations. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Coming around to you, Judith, you mentioned already DCOMP and the update. What is coming up for DCOMP? What new emerging trends and priorities?
So, quick show of hands. Everybody here has heard of DigComp, right? Anybody not heard of DigComp? Okay.
I can barely see you, but yes.
Okay, it's the first thing I'd say. It's wonderful to be among so many colleagues that have been working with DigComp and are experts in using it. I mean, I'm coming into the JRC a little over 2 years ago, so I'm, let's say, babysitting DigComp and kind of really working in a very collaborative way with experts, with member states, with agencies, and so on. So having said that, I'll do very briefly to recap where are we at now currently, DigComp 2.2. So we'll go back a couple of years. DigComp 2.2 was updated under the Digital Education Action Plan, where it says in the plan the focus in the update should be on AI and data. So the update was made not only on those aspects, but other more recent phenomena such as remote and hybrid working. There was a closer look at well-being. There was a closer look at sustainability aspects of digital technologies. the update was significant, but the main part of the update, and I think Rina, who led on the update, Rina Vorikari, is here, and we'll hear her later this morning, I believe. The main part of the update was the addition of this new dimension, which covered all of the competence areas and gave these concrete examples of competences, knowledge, skills, and attitudes in each of the competence areas. And in a way, the update was very forward-looking because it already included, as you say, IoT, AI, and so on. However, since the update, as we all know, there's been significant developments in a range of areas, possibly most significantly in these AI models, particularly generative AI, and we need to try and respond to these emerging trends. Now, we're deliberately referring to emerging trends and priorities because there is a very careful need to make updates that are informed by stakeholders and experts, and also value-based. We heard the keynote from our colleague in DG Connect this morning, where he talked about the European, what's it called? European Declaration on Digital Rights and Principles, a bit of a mouthful. But those kinds of principles, like our update needs to be value-driven. And there's another element of the update that is I think, important. So one thing is identifying these emerging trends, and it's quite another thing in a way to translate these into what citizens may need to know or be able to do by way of competences. So this is why we're so grateful for significant input from experts. So the process for update will be at the expert workshops. We've had 2 so far, and we plan to broaden out that work next year. There will also be extensive stakeholder consultation next year because, above all, like the DigCom framework needs to be relevant and useful to a very wide range of stakeholders, ranging from formal education, lifelong learning, industry, social inclusion actors, and so on. So it's a very broad and flexible framework. One of the challenges that I think is not a new challenge is the fact that there are so many current users of the framework. So it would be a mistake, we feel, to introduce radical changes to the framework, and we need to maintain stability in the framework. For example, the framework structure. At the same time, we need to ensure that the framework is relevant and up to date. So this is a point of tension in the update, but we're aware of this tension, and we hope to publish the update at the end of next year, towards the end of 2025. And we're aware that we will need to communicate very clearly what the changes are. And we also plan to accompany the updated framework with very clear, again, back to the implementation importance, very clear practical information on how the framework may be applied in a range of uses and contexts. And that we'll have a workshop this afternoon with Stefano Glutzer, who's also I won't call you the granddad of DigComp, but you're certainly let's say you're the uncle of DigComp. We'll be having a workshop this afternoon on DigComp where we'll describe the updates in more detail, and we'll have a discussion, and we're looking for your participants' feedback. So, as always, if you have any questions on the update or would like to participate somehow, because at the end of the day, this is a framework for all of us, please do not hesitate in emailing us at the JRC. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. And you heard it here first, so we'll have news in January. That's apparently the date, which is good to know. Sorry. Juan Pablo, I think you already mentioned a little bit the examples of AI-driven tools. I don't know if you wanted to deepen a little bit that topic and mention anything else regarding what specific AI technologies Intel is working that can directly enhance student learning outcomes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was mentioning about AI PC.
Yes.
Actually, I am doing many pilots in different countries across all Europe. And we are starting to use applications that are totally created and compiled to use on artificial intelligence. When I mention AI PC, something additional that I want to say is imagine into that device there are like 3 engines. Normally in a laptop we are mentioning the CPU, but now we need to consider the GPU, the graphic processing unit, and the NPU, that is the neural processing unit. And that software that is running in the device is doing the inferences not only on the cloud, but doing the inferences into the device. And that's why it's important to count with that 3 engines in the new devices that each teacher and each employee in the world will need to start using from now on. Let me mention something additional, because I was talking about skill for innovation. If anyone wants to participate in a webinar, there is a webinar that it will be exactly in 1 week, next Thursday,
24th
on the
of October.
24 at 3 p.m. So you need to go to All Digital Basecamp Network website and register there.
We can give more information at the end on that. Great. I would also like to add that All Digital and Intel, we did a report on the alignment of your training for teachers to Decomp Edu and Intercomp. If any of you would like. So this webinar will focus on this report, as far as I know. And if you'd like to know more, please.
Let me mention where is that document. Because if anyone wants to go to the platform, I don't have anything on slides, but take a note. The URL is skillsforinnovation.intel.eu. When you enter there, you will see the landing page, and immediately you will see the report to see the alignment with Teachcom and the training for Intel. And if you want to register and enter into the platform, there is a button saying register. You will need to include a code. Take a note, is Intel SFI ES, the last 2 letters, like the 2 first letters of España. Okay? Intel SFI ES.
I think you can reach out to Juan Pablo in the coffee break on that, maybe. Thank you. Thank you. Achilles, coming back to you. Speaking a little bit more about what you did in the IT course and the Digital Academy, which was the thing that you would improve or add next in the next iteration of the MOOC?
Okay, I hope there will be many iterations, but yeah, we'll see. First of all, I would like to thank Juan Pablo for what he just said. He spoke about the PC and the cloud. And this is exactly what I was saying, that this is IoT terminology, actually. So that's what I was saying, that IoT is going to be influenced and is going to serve also AI. Some computation will be done in the cloud, some computation will be done at the edge of the network, and some computation somewhere in between, in the fog, as we say. So one improvement I see is exactly that. Try to add more, make more obvious the dimension of data and of collaboration, of overlapping, let's say, of support, mutual interaction, you can say it in any way you want, between IoT and AI. That's one thing. Another thing we would like to add is resources, concrete resources for the educators that are going to use our MOOC. We don't have them there yet. Lesson plans, activities, concrete tools that they can reuse. This is something we are working on. And the final thing, which is we find really interesting, because we like frameworks. We are framework people. We like to use frameworks. We like to promote the use of competence frameworks. We develop our own competence frameworks when we don't find them out there. Is try to see if we could now map parts of the course and add maybe what is missing to make this course also compliant with Digicom Edu. Because this one now is compliant with Digicom, and this actually means that educators will help learners to develop competencies, IoT-related competencies based on Digicom. But then we're talking about the competencies of the educators themselves. So that's a new dimension, that a new, let's say, dimension, in a new layer where we are going to work to produce a new version of the course, or perhaps a new course. We'll see.
Interesting information. Thank you. Thank you. And hopefully this will help the platform grow even more. David, you did the analysis on the participants and the interest in this MOOC throughout these 2.5 years. What was the interest of participants? I mean, how relevant do you think the course in the end was, the AI course?
Yes, well, that's a complex question. Well, first of all, I'd like to add, I didn't say it before, that we also used the Digicop as a base for the course. Of course, we had also the help of Stefano, so we had the source of the information. It was actually an interesting work, to be honest, to implement something based on the level of description. For AI, it was very interesting. I think it needs some reflection, I think. We're just coming back to the question. We try to have an approach, as Afonso knows, of course. So just to let the other people know that it is based on information, of course, right? So, but we also try to have a view on the attitude of the person, of the people towards the topic. And so when we start, when somebody registers and starts the MOOC, there are some questionnaires at the beginning, and some of them are strongly psychology related. Self-efficacy, for example, or anxiety toward technology and AI, just to understand the difference before and after the courses. So if the anxiety, for example, may be reduced after you understood a little bit how things works, or if the perceived efficacy of people on a certain towards a certain topic can change after following the courses. And from this point of view, I think, well, of course, we had many people registered, but I think the history of our MOOC is not different from any other MOOCs, to be honest. So we had lots of people that registered, but in the end, not everybody finished it, of course. But we had a good number, so we could do some analysis. And I mean, from this more psychological, let's say, I'm a professor in psychometrics, so that's why we try to also to introduce these aspects. And it was interesting to see that there was a clear difference between the beginning and the end, right? From the different perspective, especially from the people that had the more difficulties in understanding what the tool was, and afterwards, after they did the course. We did the same also for IoT, right? So it's the overall. And then we also had, of course, our questionnaire at the end of the course and after every lectures. And I must say that for the people that follow the entire course, it appears, at least in the number, it appears to be beneficial. So that certainly there was an increase in knowledge of certain things, because we started also with some knowledge questionnaires, and to see the difference after the course. And we can say that there was some improvement from that point of view, also on the terminology, for example, which I think is very important, because when you understand what words mean, then it is more clear in your mind how to put your knowledge in the right bins, I think, which is what we try to do, right? Just basic things to give people maybe the ability to work on more on that. So overall, I think it was a good and interesting effort.
A good experiment with a good impact. That's what we like to see. We are a bit late on time, but I want to close this. So Back to you, Christoph. How can AI tools help align education with employment needs and improve job outcomes for learners?
I try to keep that short, and I think my answer is much coined about from the work that we do at SkillLab, and there's certainly other ways to think about this too. What today is SkillLab as a company, in the early days has been a group of people that try to help refugees and migrants into the labor market. And what we observed, what we looked into this basically is that the way labor markets largely work is on the level of titles. So you say, I was a key account manager, and then you say, well, you might work as a key account manager. That works so far in that somebody knows the company where you were a key account manager, because if you look deeper, a key account manager doesn't really mean anything. Key account manager at company A does something completely different than key account manager at company B. Refugees and migrants are entirely deprived of what we call signaling effects. So they basically have naked titles which have no meaning, no context whatsoever. And that was a real shortcoming of labor markets that we identified. So what we thought is a better solution is let people describe themselves on the level of skills. I mentioned earlier we call this universal language of skills, and I'm happy that Digicomp, ESCO, and so on are brought up all of the time. We've been amazed by what ESCO is, so to speak, as connecting these different labor markets, but we've seen a big shortcoming in ESCO, and that was it's fairly boxed. So you still think a waiter has these 15 skills, no matter if they worked in a touristic area or maybe helped out in the kitchen. So what we try to do is take these taxonomies, use AI to basically help people navigate bottom up, right? When you individually have been a waiter, what did you do? Did you help out in the kitchen or not? Did you greet guests or inform them on touristic things and so on? And then create individual skills profiles. That wasn't only a problem to refugees and migrants, it turned out it was a problem to many people in the labor and education market, right? The better you understand which skills you have, the better you understand, and that's what we started doing then, which skills employers demand and which skills education providers provide. And if you have data, quality data on these 3 points, the skills people bring, skills employers demand, and the skills education providers provide, you can do fantastic things, and that's really what we're up to, and that's why we think AI is a great way to solve problems in the labor market and make them more effective at the end of the day.
Thank you so much. I'm a bit conscious of time. I think we're about to get kicked out. I don't know if any of the speakers would like to... Yes, so we're being kicked out. Thank you everyone once again for this. Thank you to the audience. We'll see you around.
Thank you. I'm so sorry about that, but we have to keep the program. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Llegamos con esto al final de la sesión plenaria de hoy, recordándoos que volveremos aquí para clausurar el encuentro sobre las 16:45. En la clausura compartiremos las principales conclusiones de este evento, presentaremos algunos de los siguientes pasos que sería necesario dar para seguir promoviendo la ciudadanía digital en Europa y leeremos el manifiesto que se ha elaborado conjuntamente a lo largo de las 2 jornadas del encuentro. Os dejamos ahora con un coffee break que estoy segura de que todos y todas estáis deseando disfrutar, previo al inicio del resto de actividades programadas para hoy que comenzarán sobre las 12:30. Vamos a intentar recuperar un poco el retraso siendo puntuales en esto. Por favor, os pedimos que verifiquéis los espacios de las actividades en el programa online. Tenéis un código QR en vuestras acreditaciones que os lleva directamente al enlace del programa actualizado, o que lo consultéis, quienes no tengáis la acreditación a mano, en la web oficial del encuentro. La versión en castellano es encuentro-ciudadanía-digital.org y la versión en inglés digitalcitizenshipsummit.org. Por último, 3 recordatorios. Seguir animándoos a compartir vuestras valoraciones y vuestros comentarios a través de redes sociales. Por favor, devolver los cascos de traducción a la salida del auditorio y visitar el punto violeta, que no sé si todo el mundo es consciente de que existe en la zona del Digital Village, para que podamos valorar entre todos y todas cómo se ha integrado la perspectiva de género en el encuentro y a lo largo de todas sus actividades. Muchas gracias por vuestra asistencia y atención, también a aquellas personas que nos han seguido vía streaming. Esperamos que disfrutéis del resto de la jornada. We now close this second plenary session and move on to the following activities in the program. Thanks a lot for your attention, also to those attending the event online. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the day.